Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we really get into the sources, pull them apart, and give you the core insights you need to be truly well-informed.
And today, we're focusing on just 10 seconds. 10 shocking seconds in South Korean history.
Right, a moment that should have been about national pride, but, well, it ended in tragedy.
Exactly. We're diving into the 1974 assassination attempt on President Park Chung-hee, an event that honestly changed the course of modern Korean history in ways that are still felt today.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We've got sources covering, well, everything. The assassin's background, which is incredibly complex.
Yeah, the actual chaos of the shooting itself, second by second.
The diplomatic mess it created, especially between South Korea and Japan, that got really tense.
Oh, absolutely. And the political fallout within South Korea, the lasting scars on the dictatorship itself.
So our mission today is to figure out how this single brief event, really, the blink of an eye, became what some sources call the first domino to fall.
Leading, eventually, to the collapse of the whole Park regime about 5 years later. It's a story that's deeply personal, but also had massive geopolitical ripples.
To really get it, we need to set the scene. The date is critical here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. August 15th. This isn't just any date in Korea. It's Gongbokjeol.
Which means?
The day the light returned. It's Liberation Day, celebrating the end of 35 years of Japanese colonial rule. A really, really significant day.
So think national pride, remembrance, sovereignty. A very symbolic, formal occasion.
Precisely. And that's the backdrop for the horror, the location. The National Theater of Korea, right in Seoul.
Time, 10:23 in the morning. On stage, President Park Chung-hee. Now, he's a controversial figure.
Very. Brought economic growth, yes, but also an iron fist. Ruthless suppression of dissent.
And he's giving this big speech, the commemorative address, about peaceful unification with North Korea, ironically.
The whole setup is immaculate. You've got military guards, dignitaries, a big high school choir actually on the stage.
And crucially, it's being broadcast live, nationwide.
Yeah, everyone is watching. The atmosphere is, well, formal. Maybe a bit tense because of the Cold War context, but definitely stately.
Which makes the shock even greater when it happens.
Exactly. Suddenly, shattering that formality, the sharp crack of a gunshot, it just echoes through the hall.
Sources describe it as instant chaos, from ceremony to terror in a split second.
And then they see him, a young man, oddly well-dressed in a suit, surging forward from the audience.
Moving fast towards the stage, and you can see a revolver in his hand.
President Park, now he was ex-military. His instincts kick in immediately.
Ducks, right. Gets behind the podium.
Yeah, that heavy wooden podium. But sitting just behind him, wearing this beautiful traditional hanbok, is his wife, First Lady Yuk Young-soo.
And she doesn't react like he does.
No, the accounts say she just slumped forward, didn't flinch, didn't cry out, just collapsed in her chair.
Oh, God. A bullet meant for Park.
Found her instead. And the whole country watched, horrified as she was carried off stage unconscious.
That's the moment. History just fractures right there.
You have these three figures colliding. Park, the strongman president.
Yuk Young-soo, the beloved First Lady, the nation's mother figure.
And this young assassin, Moon Se-gwang, forged in, well, Cold War ideology and this deep identity crisis.
So to understand the nightmare this unleashed, politically, diplomatically, we have to start with him, with Moon Se-gwang. Who was he?
Right, a man with a gun. Moon Se-gwang, he was only 22 years old.
Just 22. And he wasn't North Korean, not sent from Pyongyang directly.
No, that's the crucial part. He was a resident of Japan, born in Osaka, actually.
Okay, so his background. That's the key.
It's everything. His family were ethnic Koreans originally from the north who fled during the Korean War.
Which put him in this community, the Zainichi?
Exactly. Zainichi literally means residing in Japan. And this community, hundreds of thousands of people, they were in this incredibly difficult, complex position, sort of caught between worlds.
Perpetual outsiders, you mean? Ghosts of the colonial past, as one source put it.
That's a good way to put it. Born in Japan, spoke Japanese, lived there their whole lives, but never truly accepted as Japanese.
But also disconnected from Korea, a place they'd never really known. It's like an identity based on what you're not.
Precisely. And the sources, they really detail how this created deep systemic alienation. We're not just talking about feeling left out.
This was actual discrimination.
Institutionalized. Zainichi Koreans were barred from public sector jobs, couldn't be a postman, couldn't work on the railway, nothing government related.
Wow. And in private companies.
Often last hired, first fired. Real estate discrimination forced them into poorer, segregated neighborhoods. It was tough. Really tough.
And their legal status.
Yeah.
That was complicated too, wasn't it?
Hugely. Most, including Mun, had this status called Chosunseki.
What did that mean?
Effectively stateless, not recognized as citizens of North or South Korea or Japan. And they had to carry these alien registration cards constantly.
Like internal passports.
Yeah, and present them on demand. Plus, mandatory fingerprinting, which was usually for criminals. It was seen as this profound humiliation, a constant reminder of being other.
So you're living in the only home you've known, but every day you're marked as this untrusted outsider. That must create a massive identity crisis.
Absolutely. Trapped between North Korea, South Korea, and the Japan that rejected him. It's a recipe for radicalization, isn't it?
And something filled that void for him.
Yes. Chongryeon, the General Association of Korean Residents in Japan.
Okay, what was that? A community group?
Much more than that. On the surface, yes, but it was secretly funded, directed, heavily influenced by Pyongyang. A sort of state within a state for Zainichi Koreans loyal to the North.
And it offered what Japan denied.
Exactly. Identity, belonging, purpose. They ran their own schools, taught Korean language, kids wore traditional clothes.
And learned
the Jewish ideology, praised Kim Il-sung. It gave these alienated kids a powerful narrative. North Korea was the true motherland, fighting imperialism.
And Mun got drawn into this.
Deeply. Sources say he devoured political writings. Mao, Kim Il-sung. He came to see Park Chung-hee's government in the South as totally corrupt.
Just a puppet of the U.S.
Yeah, a military dictatorship that needed to be overthrown. And North Korean agents operating through Chongryeon, they saw him, they cultivated him.
They convinced him
that killing Park was the spark, that it would trigger a communist revolution in the South. His personal alienation found this, violent political outlet.
And this wasn't some sudden decision. There was planning involved.
Meticulous planning. He committed to the mission way back in November 1973.
And got funding.
Yes, 500,000 yen. Which was a lot of money back then, maybe a year's wages for some. Shows serious backing.
Then the fake passport.
May 1974. Got a Japanese passport under the name Yuki Kawagami. And that detail, the Japanese passport, becomes critical later.
Right, the diplomatic angle. And the gun. Where did he get the gun?
This is almost brazen. July 18th, just weeks before the attack. He walks into a police box, a Kuban in Osaka.
A police station.
Yeah, a small neighborhood police post. And steals a Smith & Wesson .38 revolver right from them.
Steals it from the Japanese police. The symbolism there.
It's potent, isn't it? Taking a weapon from the state he felt oppressed him to use against the state Pyongyang told him was the enemy.
And then he travels to Seoul.
August 8th, 1974. He flies in, gets through security hides the gun inside a hollowed-out transistor radio.
Clever. Looks like a normal tourist item.
Exactly. Checks into the Chosun Hotel, a pretty upscale place, ready to go, fueled by this potent mix of personal grievance and ideology.
Okay, so that's the assassin. Now we need to talk about the person whose life he tragically took. The First Lady, Yuk Young-soo.
And the contrast between her and her husband, President Park, is just stark. It's crucial to understanding why her death was so politically devastating.
Park was the strongman, the dictator. Polarizing.
Absolutely. Stern, demanding, the father figure who delivered economic miracles but crushed freedom. Yuk Young-soo, though, she was almost universally loved.
The mother of the nation.
That's exactly the phrase everyone uses. If Park was the iron fist, she was the gentle, compassionate heart of the regime, at least in the public eye.
And this wasn't just image, right? Her popularity was based on real actions.
Definitely. She worked hard to connect with ordinary people in a way Park just couldn't or wouldn't. Sources say she would personally read letters sent to the Blue House.
Letters from regular citizens.
Yeah, people writing in with their problems, poverty, bureaucracy, you name it. And she'd often try to help personally answer them.
That's quite something.
And she championed vulnerable groups. She was key in creating the Children's Grand Park in Seoul, a huge public space.
And vocational training, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
Specifically for disadvantaged youth, single mothers, concrete things that showed compassion, that humanized the regime.
And then there's that famous story, the visit to the leper colony.
Ah, yes. Surak Island. This is legendary. You have to understand, back then, leprosy patients were utterly feared, ostracized, total isolation.
She went there.
She went there, walked among them, and shook hands with patient after patient.
Without gloves.
Without gloves. Made a point of it. In that era, that gesture, it was seismic. A profound statement of acceptance, of courage. It told people the Blue House cared, even about the most marginalized.
Wow. But she also had a political role, didn't she? behind the scenes.
Yes, and several sources highlight this. She wasn't just a symbol. She acted as the regime's conscience, in a way.
How so?
Well, apparently she wasn't afraid to speak truth to power quietly to Park himself. She'd inform him about corruption, sometimes involving his own relatives.
Really? And offer policy advice?
Instructive criticism, yeah. Trying to soften the harsher edges of his policies. Park himself apparently recognized this. There's that famous quote.
What did he say?
He jokingly called her the first opposition party.
Wow. That implies a level of respect for her judgment, even from him.
It does. It shows she had real influence, a moderating influence.
So her death, it wasn't just a personal tragedy for Park. It was a political catastrophe for the regime.
Absolutely devastating. It ripped the heart out, removed that source of public affection and compassion. And maybe more importantly, it removed the one person who could reliably check Park's authoritarian side.
Creating a vacuum.
A huge vacuum. And you know what rushes into a vacuum?
Hardliners.
Exactly. People without her grace, without her moderating influence. Her death allowed them to gain more power, more access to Park without restraint.
Which hardened the regime.
Yes. It set the stage for internal power struggles later on, intensified the repression under the Yushin Constitution.
Right.
Her death really accelerated the regime's decay, in a way. The clock started ticking faster.
Okay, let's go back to that moment. National Theater, 10:23 a.m. Mun Se-gwang is inside.
Right. His first plan, shoot Park in the lobby, didn't work out. Too much security.
So he had to improvise, went into the main hall.
Yeah, moved closer to the stage.
Yeah.
And his desperation, maybe nerves, led to the first mistake.
Which was?
As he's trying to move down the aisle during the speech, his first shot goes off accidentally. Bang.
Inadvertent discharge.
Seems like it. And that sound immediately gives him away. Some reports even say that bullet hit his own leg.
Seriously?
Yeah, causing him to stumble. But now he's exposed. No turning back. Chaos erupts.
So he bolts, makes a run for it.
Frantic run down the main aisle, straight at the stage, firing that revolver. People are screaming, diving for cover. Security is scrambling.
Okay, let's track the bullets. This is terrifying.
Okay, so the first intentional shot, that's shot number 2 overall, it slams into the podium.
Mayor Park is hiding.
Right behind it, inches away. The podium was heavily damaged, showing how close it was.
Then shot number 3. This is the moment of luck.
Unbelievable luck for Park. It's a misfire, just a click, nothing happens.
Wow, that's split second.
Saved his life. But then, shot number 4.
This is the one.
This is the one. It goes past the podium and hits Yuk Young-soo in the right side of her head.
And you see it in the footage. She just slumps forward.
Limp in her chair. The bullet meant for him finds her. Utterly tragic.
And the last shot. Shot 5.
Misses everything important. Tears through a flag behind the stage. By then, security is tackling him, violently taking him down.
But the violence isn't over, is it? There's more tragedy.
No, because in the panic, the crossfire, there's another victim, the forgotten victim.
Who is that?
A presidential bodyguard, the chief bodyguard, actually, named Park Chung-hee. He fires back at Mun.
Okay, trying to neutralize the threat.
But his bullet misses Mun. It ricochets off a wall, a pillar, something hard.
And hits.
An 18-year-old high school student, Jang Bonghwa. She was part of the choir, standing right there on stage.
Oh no. Killed by friendly fire.
Killed instantly. And this is where the story takes that dark, cynical turn. The regime's immediate response.
Narrative control.
Absolutely. The official government investigation needed a simple story. Good versus evil. Martyrs versus the communist enemy.
So they blamed Mun Se-gwang.
For both deaths, Yuk Young-soo and Jang Bonghwa.
Even though the evidence pointed to the bodyguard's bullet killing the student.
Correct. Mun was convicted of 2 murders. The state needed to control the story, and admitting their own security detail killed an innocent girl. That was politically unacceptable.
Why? Why cover that up so fiercely?
Think about Park's regime. Its whole image was built on strength, order, absolute control, admitting incompetence, panic, friendly fire right at the heart of their security apparatus.
It makes them look weak, fallible, messy.
Exactly. An unmitigated disaster for their image. Much easier politically to blame the communist assassin for everything. Create 2 martyrs, rally the nation against the North, and bury the inconvenient truth.
So the official story sacrificed the truth about a young girl's death for political expediency.
That seems to be the consensus from the sources analyzing it. Narrative control trumped factual accuracy.
Okay, so the shooting's over. Mun is captured. The First Lady is dying. A student is dead. The nation is watching this horror unfold live on TV.
And in that moment, President Park does something, Well, something that people still argue about intensely today.
What does he do?
His wife is being carried off the stage, bleeding, unconscious. Park gets up, walks back to the podium, which must have been damaged, maybe bloodstained, clears his throat, and resumes his speech. The famous line, "I shall continue my speech."
Oh, he just carries on.
For a short while before the broadcast was cut. And this act, it defines his public image for many. But how do we interpret it? The sources offer two main takes.
Okay, what's interpretation A?
Duty, strength, professionalism, almost superhuman self-control. He's sending a message to North Korea, to his enemies, to his own people.
Message being?
The Republic of Korea will not be broken. Its leader is unshakable, even in the face of personal tragedy and terror. It's the soldier, the general, performing his duty above all else.
Okay, and interpretation B?
The cold dictator. A man so consumed by the performance of power that it overrides basic human emotion. The symbol of the state, the image of stability, was more important to him in that moment than his dying wife.
Could he have realistically done anything else, given who he was, the regime he built?
That's the really tough question, isn't it? His entire political identity, the Yushin system, was built on projecting unshakable strength. Rushing off stage might have signaled panic, vulnerability, the very things his authoritarian rule was supposed to prevent.
So the truth might be somewhere in between. Or both.
The sources suggest it's incredibly complex. You have the public stoicism, the performance of duty, but then you get glimpses of the private agony later.
Like at the hospital.
Yeah, a nurse there described his face when he saw his wife. She said it was a mask of 100 feelings, but no tears. Not yet. He was still President Park, on duty.
But the mask eventually broke.
Oh, yes. After her death was confirmed hours later, the prime minister at the time reported that Park finally just broke down and wept his eyes out, completely devastated.
And his diaries later.
Full of grief. He wrote things like, "I felt as though I had lost everything in the world. I have cried alone in secret too many times to count." So the public act required suppressing immense private pain.
While he's maintaining that composure, what's happening at the hospital? That's a race against time, right?
Desperate. Absolutely desperate. Yuk Young-soo got to Seoul National University Hospital just 9 minutes after being shot.
That's fast.
Incredibly fast. By 11 a.m., she's in surgery. Top surgeons in the country working on her. But the situation was dire.
What was the damage?
The bullet was deep in the brain. Worse, it had torn through the main vein on the right side. A nurse recalled when they opened her skull, blood was literally spurting out because of the pressure.
Oh, terrible. And then there was another problem. Blood supply.
Yes, a critical crisis.
Sure.
Her blood type was AB, relatively rare.
So they ran out.
Quickly. Hospital staff were scrambling, calling other hospitals, the military, begging for every unit of AB blood they could find anywhere in Seoul.
How much did they give her?
An incredible amount. Sources say 149 bottles of blood were transfused. That's like nearly 8 times the amount in a normal human body.
And it still wasn't enough.
Still wasn't enough. The damage was too severe. The head surgeon later made this heartbreaking comment.
What was it?
He said if the bullet had hit just 5 millimeters to the side of that vein, he could have saved her.
5 millimeters. That's unbelievably close.
Tiny distance. The difference between life and death, and the difference that reshaped South Korean politics.
So after the surgery failed, Park arrived.
Yes. He spent about 20 or 30 minutes alone with her while she was unconscious. Then the staff came back in.
And she was pronounced dead.
At 7 p.m. that evening, August 15th, 1974, First Lady Yuk Young-soo was gone.
That detail about the rare blood type, it feels almost symbolic.
It really does. Like the nation couldn't find enough of what she represented, that unique compassion, that grace, that moderating influence, it just couldn't be replaced.
Okay, so the immediate aftermath. What happened to Moon Se-gwon?
Swift justice, if you can call it that. He confessed everything, was tried, found guilty of murder, sedition.
And executed.
Yes, very quickly. Hanged just 4 months later, December 20th, 1974.
Did he show remorse?
Only apparently for 2 things. Failing to kill President Park, and for the death of the schoolgirl, Jang Bo-ma. Not for killing the First Lady.
Okay, so the assassin is dealt with.
Yeah.
But the bigger fallout was diplomatic, right? Between Seoul and Tokyo.
Oh, it exploded almost immediately. Park's government was, understandably, enraged. And they pointed the finger squarely at Japan.
On what grounds? Negligence.
Negligence, harboring enemies, failure of sovereignty. The evidence seemed compelling from Seoul's perspective.
Let's list it. The assassin was Zenichi.
A Korean resident of Japan.
He used a fake Japanese passport.
crucial point.
And the murder weapon was stolen from Japanese police.
Right. So Seoul saw this as a catastrophic failure by Japan. Worse, they saw it as proof that Japan was tolerating Changryeon, the pro-North Korean group, operating freely on its soil.
And Park's demands were?
Furious, non-negotiable initially, he demanded Japan crack down hard on Changryeon, dismantle it.
Hand over conspirators.
Yes. And issue a formal, unequivocal apology accepting moral responsibility for the attack.
This wasn't a polite request.
Not at all. It was an ultimatum. Park set a deadline, September 12th. If Japan didn't comply, he threatened to sever all diplomatic ties.
Cut off relations completely and seize Japanese assets.
That was the threat. A massive economic and strategic blow, potentially wrecking years of fragile post-colonial normalization between them.
How did Japan respond?
They pushed back hard. They expressed regret, condolences for the First Lady's death, of course, but they conducted their own investigation.
And concluded
That Mun likely acted alone. They couldn't find definitive proof linking Changryeon's central leadership directly to the plot in a way that justified a massive crackdown under Japanese law.
And Tokyo wasn't going to let Seoul dictate its domestic policy.
Exactly. That was the core issue. They weren't going to target the hundreds of thousands of Zainichi residents just because Park demanded it. They were wary of appearing to collude with Park's authoritarian regime against a group on their own soil, even a pro-Pyongyang one.
This sounds like a nightmare for the U.S.
Huge headache. South Korea and Japan were absolutely critical U.S. allies in the Cold War, the main bulwark against communism in East Asia. A total breakdown between them. Unthinkable.
So Washington had to step in.
Intense mediation behind the scenes. They were terrified of this alliance collapsing.
How was it resolved? Did Japan give in?
Not entirely. It was averted, just barely. Japan sent a high-level special envoy to Seoul.
With an apology.
Not quote a full apology accepting blame, more like a carefully worded letter expressing deep regret that the incident originated from their territory. Sadness, remorse, but not full culpability.
And anything else.
Yeah.
Off the record.
Yes, apparently the envoy gave Park a private, off-the-record assurance that they would monitor Changryeon more closely.
Just enough for Park to save face.
Exactly. It allowed him to step back from the brink without looking weak, even though he didn't get everything he initially demanded. The alliance held, but trust was badly damaged.
Okay, let's talk long-term legacy. You mentioned the domino effect. How did this 1974 event lead to Park's own assassination in 1979?
It's a direct line, really. The death of Yuk Young-soo changed Park himself profoundly. That moderating voice, that connection to public sentiment, was gone.
He became more isolated.
Paranoid. Sources say yes. More withdrawn, increasingly suspicious of threats, both internal and external, and without his wife's influence.
He leaned on different advisors.
He started relying heavily on the hardliners, military men, security figures, and one figure becomes absolutely central.
Who's that?
His chief bodyguard, Cha Ji-chul. The same guy whose bullet might have killed the schoolgirl, ironically.
And Cha's influence grew after the First Lady's death.
Exponentially. Cha became fiercely loyal, incredibly aggressive, and Park elevated him to this position of almost unparalleled power. He was Park's gatekeeper, his shadow.
And what did Cha's rise mean for the regime?
A definitive shift away from any possibility of softening. Cha pushed for more repression under the Yushin Constitution. Harder crackdowns on the growing democracy protests. He represented the regime doubling down on authoritarianism.
Okay, so how does this connect to 1979?
Here's the tragic irony. The immense power Park gave Cha Ji-chul after Yuk Young-soo's death created intense friction, a vicious rivalry.
With whom?
With the director of the KCIA, the Korean Central Intelligence Agency, Kim Jae-gyu.
The man who eventually shot Park.
It's the very same. Kim Jae-gyu saw Cha as this arrogant, dangerous influence on Park. He felt Cha was mismanaging security, pushing the president towards brutal, counterproductive measures against protesters.
So it was a power struggle, a turf war.
Partly, yes, but also ideological in a sense. Kim was apparently more moderate, or at least pragmatic. He feared Cha's hardline approach would lead to disaster, maybe even revolution. And crucially, Park kept siding with Cha.
Ignoring Kim's intelligence advice.
Increasingly, yes. Kim felt sidelined, disrespected, and probably genuinely feared for the country's stability, maybe even his own position or life, as Cha's power grew unchecked.
And this feud just festered.
Until October 26, 1979. There was this private dinner. Park, Cha, Kim Jae-gyu, and others. They got into a heated argument about how to handle major protests in Busan and Masan. Cha was advocating for extreme force
And Kim snapped.
in what he later claimed was a move to prevent a bloodbath and restore democracy. Kim Jong-il pulled out his pistol. He shot Cha Ji-chul first, then turned the gun on President Park, killed them both.
So the sequence is clear. Yuk Young-soo dies in 74,
Which creates a vacuum, allows Cha Ji-chul to rise,
which creates the fatal rivalry with Kim Jong-il.
which culminates in the assassination of both Cha and Park in 79. The 1974 bullet truly set the 1979 assassination in motion, a feedback loop of paranoia and violence within the dictatorship itself.
Incredible. And yet, through all that darkness, Young-soo's own legacy seems different, almost separate from the regime.
It really does. She remains one of South Korea's most beloved historical figures, deeply revered.
Not remembered as the dictator's wife.
Much less so. More as the compassionate and caring mother to the South Korean people. Her violent death cemented that image. She became a martyr, a symbol of lost grace.
And the public reaction to her death reflected that.
Immensely. Her funeral was a massive national event. 5 days of mourning, over 1 million people lined the streets of Seoul, weeping, a depth of genuine public affection Park himself could never command.
So this whole deep dive, it really is about collisions, isn't it?
Absolutely. The collision of Mun's identity crisis with Cold War politics, the collision of bullets and bodies, the collision between state power and human tragedy.
It's about choices, too. Mun chose violence. The security guards arguably chose panic, then cover up.
And President Park, in that critical moment, chose the image of the state, the performance of unwavering strength.
Which brings us to that final thought, the provocative question we want to leave you, the listener, with. We've talked about Park's reaction, the duty, the stoicism, the hidden grief.
But put yourself in his shoes, just for a second. You're behind that podium. The world is watching, live. Your wife, your partner is bleeding, dying, just feet away. What choice do you make?
Not just what feels right emotionally, but what serves the state you've built, the power you embody. Can those two things even coexist in a moment like that?
It's a question that cuts to the core of leadership, power, and humanity in crisis. What price is too high for the performance of strength?
Something to think about. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.
And we'll see you next time.